Looking to build a chatbot for your website? On Fiverr, you
baby, I'm gonna leave you. I said, baby, you know I'm gonna leave you. Leave you in the summertime, leave you when the summer comes a-rolling, leave you when the summer comes along.
I wish I never left her far. I have a big decision to make. It may change many things. Every year, we go to the same places. Odin gave his eye to acquire knowledge. That's why we should sail west. We've built a new boat. And with this boat, for the first time, we can go west. I want to know what's to the west. What cities and gods are over. We won't know that until we try. I'm not satisfied with this. Such tales. Great towns and cities. Treasures, horses, gold and silver, and a new God. God bless. Don't kill me. I'm not satisfied with what I have achieved so far. I'm a very curious man. What is your name? Oh, we have a pretty cool now. My brother. This land is rich. It is to set me.
You must be Ragnar Lothbrok.
You are Ragnar Lothbrok. Ragnar Lothbrok. The one who sailed west. The one who always thinks the worst of it. I will work with you against my brother. You will choose to support him.
Why? Why do we fight each other? About this piece or that piece of land?
I'm very curious about England. Tell me about Paris.
Why are we not looking outwards? Your reputation goes ahead of you, Ragnar Lothbrok. I know this because so many have told me how you killed Earl Haraldson and then built a new kind of ship, the first to sail west, and defeated a king of England.
John!
I did not become ill because I aspired to be one. It came about because of other people's actions. I did not become king out of ambition. Once again, England. I go home to your army. I go home to your contract to do.
One day, if the gods will it, this sword will belong to you.
The gods desire you to have a great future.
Why did the gods keep me alive? That is the question I keep asking myself.
But they can withdraw their goodwill at any
We're
moment.
gonna go walking through the park every day. On my bed, every day.
He is everything to me. I cannot. What do you think?
How
Why would I not want to betray him?
power is always dangerous. It attracts the worst. But I still believe in my heart that it will not betray me and corrupts the best.
Who will bear me, my son?
You insult and humiliate. I have no choice but to leave you.
Sometimes you are God.
But now, I've got to go
So long I've been God. And we can someday our father, our brothers, our father will become family.
He's a Christian.
All my future lies with Ragnar. The only one I can trust will have you. Your heart. Or maybe we now start with Constantine and Christ. I don't believe in the gods of Jesus. And they are wrong.
Ridiculous. Is that what your friend Athelstan has persuaded you to do?
How can you trust him? You talk about trust. You betrayed me.
You killed Athelstan.
You betrayed my trust and my love.
Tell me if I will conquer Paris. I can see that not the living, but the dead will conquer Paris. And I also see that the bear will be crowned by a princess.
Hail Caesar!
You are the most dangerous man on this earth.
But everyone wanted you dead! I kept you alive!
We will never meet again, my friend.
And this is how you repay my love!
Not my brother. Never have been. I think what happened in Paris finally broke him.
It's been a long journey.
Why did you come back? I came back because I wanted to see what just become of my son. Hello, Anna.
Why
a man.
You were a god,
A man with many dreams and many faiths.
just a man. I have met many man.
Despite all his fame, he's still the greatest man in the world.
Father, dear child, Gita, I've come to say goodbye to you, Papa. You broke my heart.
Isn't that always the way with brothers? Just to step out of your shadow. They hate and love each other all the time. You understand that, don't you?
My wife. My witness. You suffered my life. And my son. But you never turned our sons against me.
I thought your legs were weak.
I was wrong. Legs are giving you a strength.
Come on, donkey.
You're a good Christian.
We've done it together.
That's the thing I do love most for you. I love you. I love you. I love you too, Papa. In my mind, I wish I never left her far.
Ragnar didn't succeed.
I want to know the day we die. We're all fated to die on certain days. But it is our own choice to do as we please until that day. What took you so long? To die on the day light lives. Certo. The time fated to die. The day the light lives. I have to destroy someone truly great. You have to kill me. I cannot run. Death is usually nothing most of my mind. Forever.
You're blind.
I can see you, Ragnar Lothbrok.
You see, I guided my fate. I fashioned the course of my life and my death. Me, not you, not the gods. Me. It was my idea to come here to die. Man is the master of his own fate, not yours. It gladdens me to know that Odin prepares for a feast. I shall not enter Odin's hall with thee. My death comes without apology. And I welcome the Valkyries to summon me home.
Our father is probably dead by now. And we will have to avenge him. How the little piggies will grunt when they hear how their own boy suffered.
Billy Ray was a preacher's son, and when his daddy would visit, he'd come along. When they gathered around and started talking, that's when Billy would take me walking. Out through the backyard we go walking. Then he looked into my eyes. Lord knows to my surprise, the only one who could ever reach me was the son of a preacher man. The only boy who could ever teach me was the son of a preacher man. Yes, he was. He was. Yes, he was. Being good isn't always easy, no matter how hard I try. When he started sweet talking to me, he'd come and tell me everything is alright. He'd kiss and tell me everything is alright. Can I get away again tonight? The only one who could ever reach me was the son of a preacher man. The only boy who could ever teach me was the son of a preacher man. Yes, he was. He was.
This video is brought to you by Captivating History. On May 24th, 1890, a fair-haired girl called Alexandrina Victoria of Hanover into the world. Unbeknownst to everyone at the time, this girl would become the Queen of England. King George III had 15 sons and daughters. His eldest son, George IV, became king in 1820. George IV died in 1830 without an heir, and the crown passed to the next brother-in-law, William. Crowned King William IV, he was in his 60s when he came to power and ruled for just 7 years before he died. Although he had fathered many children, they were all out of wedlock and unable to succeed in his mind. His next in line would have been Henry, but he passed away 17 years earlier, a year after the birth of his daughter, Alexandra Victoria. And so it was that the 18-year-old Princess Victoria became monarch of England.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Royalty Now, where we recreate famous figures from the past and talk about their history. Today's subject is the tragic 9-day Queen of England, Lady Jane Grey. We'll talk about her short life and history and what transpired during her 9-day reign. And then, of course, I'll reveal a few recreations of her appearance. So let's go ahead and get started. At the time of her birth in October of 1537, Lady Jane Grey was not expected to be a future Queen of England. The current King Henry VIII and his wife Jane Seymour had just welcomed a son, Edward, leading to renewed hope that a solid male line of succession would follow. Personal details of Jane's early life have unfortunately gone quite unrecorded. We don't even know her exact birthday, and even the year of her birth is disputed. Yet her story is brought into the blinding light when she is thrust upon the throne in 1553. So, Jane was the direct descendant of Henry VII, as his great-granddaughter through her mother, Frances Brandon. The eldest of 3 girls, Jane was actually 4th in line for the succession upon King Henry VIII's death, as was expressed in his will. But I'm sure that she never expected it to come down to her. Upon King Henry's death, his young son Edward became the King of England at only 9. A Council of Regency was therefore created to act as Edward's counsel until he was 18. Now, as you might expect, this kind of counsel and access to the king caused a lot of infighting and manipulation from the counselors, many of whom seemed far too eager to take advantage of having the ear of the king, who was just a 9-year-old boy. During this time, Jane had come under the wardship of Catherine Parr, Henry VIII's last wife, and a man named Thomas Seymour. Jane and Catherine would become very close during her wardship. Young Jane was an avid book reader and was said to have loved being with her books above all things. Catherine was a well-educated woman, keen Protestant, and an author herself, so naturally she took Jane under her wing. Jane, like Catherine, would become a devout Protestant, setting the pivotal events of her life in motion. Unfortunately, Jane's time with Catherine at Sussex Castle would be cut short. Catherine Parr died in late 1548, a few days after childbirth. In 1549, for reasons that are still unclear, the late Catherine's husband, Thomas Seymour, a member of Edward's Council of Regency, was caught trying to break into the king's apartments with a pistol in hand. He was subsequently beheaded for treason, and Jane was returned to her home of Bradgate to resume her studies, no doubt shaken up by the events. But she wasn't there for long. In October of 1553, Jane's father was created the Duke of Suffolk. This brought her back to the royal court and closer to the ever-scheming advisors of the king. Jane was quickly arranged to marry Lord Guildford Dudley, who she was not very enthusiastic about. Guildford was the son of the powerful Protestant Duke of Northumberland, John Dudley, who was now the leader of Edward's Regency Council. The couple married on the 25th of May, 1553. Like Jane, the young King Edward was a devout Protestant. As he grew into a young man and became more confident, he began to implement more and more religious reform in England. Historians still argue about how much Edward did himself as opposed to the influence of his counselors. He's been labeled everything from a puppet king to a fully adult, capable ruler. But one thing is very clear, and that is Edward is a Protestant, and he desires above all else that England remain a Protestant nation. Sadly, his time as king would be cut short. At the age of only 15, Edward fell ill. His health remained volatile for many months, sometimes getting a bit better and people became more hopeful, and sometimes worsening. But it soon became clear that he would not recover, and England was thrown into another crisis of succession. So the state of things was this. The 15-year-old Edward had two half-sisters, his eldest sister Mary, a devout Catholic, and his sister Elizabeth, a steadfast Protestant. At the beginning of Edward's reign, the position of Mary as his heir was simply regarded as a fact. Henry VIII's will clearly stated his intentions, that the throne would go to Edward, and if Edward had no sons, it would go to Mary and then Elizabeth. But Mary and Edward weren't as close as they had once been, mainly because of their religious differences. As early as 1552, before he was even ill, Edward began what he called his devise for the succession, a document he revised several times. The document excluded both of his half-sisters, indicating that he wanted to remove all female heirs. The first version of the document included a bunch of imaginary male heirs. For instance, it included Jane Grey's future sons, despite her being 15 and unmarried at the time of its recording. As he became more ill, he knew that he was going to have to make the document and his desires more clear. He decided that he would pass over both of his half-sisters, and he named the unsuspecting Jane Grey as the next heir. Now, it's unclear how much of a role Jane's father-in-law, the Duke of Northumberland, had in the plan. However, the very recent arrangement of his son marrying Jane, who was just named heir, is interesting timing. Upon Edward's death on July 6th of 1553, the 16-year-old Lady Jane Grey is declared the next Queen of England. Upon the news of Edward's death, Jane is whisked away to Sion House near London, where she is forced to accept the crown of England. The news came as a huge shock to Jane, who literally shook with fright as the news was delivered. She fainted as every courtier in the room knelt before her as their sovereign. She was adamant, pleading, saying, "The crown is not my right, it pleases me not. Mary is the rightful heir." She knew how dangerous her position was. The next day, on July 10th, Jane, along with her husband and her family, entered the Tower of London in a grand procession to prepare for her coronation. But the English people were
substance abuse, big deal in this country and probably in every country. We're calling it the Great American Recovery Initiative. Today I'm signing a historic executive order to combat the scourge of addiction and substance abuse, big deal in this country and probably in every country. We're calling it the Great American Recovery Initiative. Today I'm signing a historic executive order to combat the scourge of addiction and substance abuse. Big deal in this country and probably in every country. We're calling it the Great American Recovery Initiative. Today I'm signing a historic executive order to combat the scourge of addiction and substance abuse. Big deal in this country and probably in every country. We're calling it the Great American Recovery Initiative. Today I'm signing